Hi, my name is Christian Bierman.
Hello, my name is Matthew Johnson.
Hi, my name is Lauren Johnson.
And hi, my name is Brendan Skrinars, and we are coding Catastrophes. Sometimes you're just having a rough day. You feel low, unmotivated, or stuck in your own head, and nothing really seems that appealing. In those moments, it helps to have something reliable that can shift your mood, even if it's just a little. Playing a video game isn't just about passing time, it is about choosing an experience that actually makes you feel good. When a video game genuinely makes you happy, that matters. Whether it's the music, the gameplay, or just the feeling of progress, that kind of enjoyment has real value. Another big reason to play a game is replayability. Maybe it's the different choices that you make, the new strategies you choose, or just improving your place on the leaderboard. Replayability means you are not just getting a one time experience. You're getting something you can come back to over and over again without it feeling stale. So when you combine those two things, happiness and replayability, you get more than just entertainment. You get a game worth your time. You get Forgotten Labyrinth. Forgotten Labyrinth is a new 2D roguelike platformer that combines nostalgic pixel art with exciting gameplay. Climb your way up the leaderboards as you achieve higher scores in faster times. But most importantly, don't forget to have fun.
So I will be talking about the technology section of our project. So essentially what we have is a Unity game, which is in C Sharp, which is what the client will see. This is essentially the front end of our project. Then we have the typical backend to database flow. So essentially what it is the front end will then send data to the backend. The backend will then process this data and send it to the database or retrieve from the database and send it back to the client. So essentially the game is full of HTTPS requests and our backend is in render, which because we're using the free version, it isn't as great as it could be. There are obviously better options, but it works well. Everything just kind of works together, and uh, it's basically the Unity client will send a bunch of data, and it will keep persistently. And then as far as like the menus go, there's the main menu with the play. You can click the character, you can click leaderboard, and then you can click quit and settings. So essentially, play is will prompt you to choose a map. These maps are the Hollow Halls, Garden of Echoes, and Final Heart. And depending on what map you pick, they will all be different. And then if you go into character, you can choose your character, basically a male or female. These are nothing but cosmetic changes. And then if you go back and go to leaderboard, you will essentially see all the other runs that users have completed. This will give us the competitiveness of our game. So essentially, you can click between time, you can click between scores, and all these will have different results. You can also pick between the maps as they're all different. So like there's leaderboards for all the different maps. And as far as technology, that's it.
Here we have the settings. On the right here we have our audio settings, which includes the master volume, the music volume, the SFX volume. All these are turned down for the video's sake. And on the left here we have the player controls. You are able to change these however you see fit. So we change jump from W to Q to T. We change a few other controls. And on the bottom left here we have the cheat mode. This cheat mode is a general testing grounds for the game. Here you get at the player stats, the inventory stats. So here we change max health, we increase our max stamina, increase, decrease our attack cooldown to show off a few of the buttons. And then on the right here, we give ourselves some gold to interact with the shop that we can spawn in later. Or we can also just give ourselves shop items directly for testing. And this here is our spawn menu. You can spawn in any of the enemies that are within the game, the power-ups, and the shopkeeper. So here we spawn in a power-up and the shopkeeper to show those two off. These two will be further discussed in the gameplay. So here's the menu for the power-up drop to test like different power-ups. This is the shop where you are still able to purchase items from the shop if you have the gold. And now for the spawn menu. Here I'll spawn in a couple of the enemies. So I spawned in a worm just to show that off, where you can test animations, hits, stuff like that. I spawn in a mini boss, specifically the shrimp. All these enemies can be found within the levels except the final boss. With the mini bosses though, they do drop a power up. So in here they will still also drop a power up. So I spawned in the millipede boss. This is found at the end of the Garden of Echoes level. So spawned him in here. You can show off a few of his animations. And essentially that is it for the cheat mode. And from here on, I am going to pass this on to the gameplay portion.
Hello, this is Lauren Johnson, and I will be showcasing the gameplay of our game. It is a roguelite, which means every time you play, you try to get further and further than a past run by your own skill or luck. In the top left, we can see our health bar and stamina meter. Or next to that is our gold. In the top center, we have our timer and our score. In the top right, we have maps and our map button and settings button. In the bottom left is our currently selected weapon, and in the bottom right is our bought items. We happen to get a bad enemy, but I'd like to show how our map works. We can see that anything in yellow is our player, we're in the first room. Anything that's brown is a basic room. Anything that's a shop is in green, and anything that is red is a mini boss. Anything that's in black is a final boss, which will always be the last room of a level. This is also randomly generated every time, so no two runs will be the same. Let's kill the bad enemy now. When you get close, it will try to swoop on you. And I keep missing. There we go. Here's our moth enemy. This one, when you get close enough, will try to swoop on you, except instead of rising back up, it will try to keep attacking you, unless you get far enough away. Also, when you're out of stamina, you cannot fire your weapon, and you move much slower than you were before. Here we have a mini boss. It's our frog. He hops 3 times and then fires his tongue at you, which you have to dodge. He also drops power-ups, which can randomly drop from any enemy. Let's increase our shield. Here we have the worm. You normally cannot hit it with a bow, so we have to swing at it with a sword. Here we have the worm again. Here we have a frog again. He dropped power-ups. Let's increase our mini-boss damage. Also, randomly, 2 doors may appear for you to exit through. Let's take the right one. Here we have our frog enemy again. Pick up his power-up. Let's increase our projectile count. Now our arrows, we fire 2 arrows at once. We have the frog again. But with our doubled projectile count and increased mini-boss damage, we now can kill it relatively quickly. Let's increase our projectile speed. Here we have a frog again. Once again, killed it very quickly. Let's increase our attack. And here we have a shop. What happens here is you come up and speak to this one, and we can buy a health potion, we can double our gold intake, we can buy a grenade, or you can buy a shield potion. I think I want to buy a health potion, double our gold intake, and buy a shield potion. Let's use them all now. If I use a health potion, it heals you by roughly 25% HP. With doubling your gold intake, now every time you kill an enemy, it will double the gold you get. And if we use a shield potion, it adds a small amount of health that it will absorb from your damage taken. We have the worm again, but now with double projectiles, we can actually hit it. Here we have our shrimp again. Let's increase our projectile speed and also let stamina regen. Here we have another shop. I'm just going to choose to ignore it. Here we have a frog again. Let's increase our stamina, which also fully regens your stamina. Here's our bat enemy again. Another shop, I'm going to choose to ignore it. And here we have our final boss, a giant spider who fires webs at you that you have to dodge. Once you finally kill it, you can see your score appear and your total runtime.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our final demo video for Forgotten Labyrinth. We are coding Catastrophes, and it's been an honor to introduce you to our game, and we really hope that you enjoy playing. So thank you, and bye for now.